Hey there, so this is going to be a quick video. Recently we got a new swamp manipulation, which we're calling the cave manip because we go into a cave, and this gets us 3 kinstones in swamp, which are really important for the any percent route. This is just going to be a quick run through and a demonstration of the things that I've noticed is the things to look out for that are going to help improve consistency with this strat. So let's just jump straight into it. And off we go. So above me, we have my inputs and the RNG value, so you can keep the RNG value in mind to see what values you're supposed to have at certain points. I'm just going to let the whole thing run through and then talk about it afterwards. What I'm demonstrating here is the best pattern that you want to get. Basically, every single kinstone that's going to drop here is going to have a sparkle pattern to it. And you want to learn what those sparkle patterns are. We'll run through what they look like, and then if you do it well and reacts to what the sparkles are supposed to be, you get all of the kinstones, and then the p-hat appears at the spot, and then you can start doing the p-hat minute, the actual p-hat clip. Now let's jump into the very beginning. So obviously we're going to start doing this from after the bow. You collect a bow, do and save and quit. You want to have sword and boots equipped. You're going to reset, mash through the title screen, and load your file. Here, the most important thing that you need to do at the very beginning, this is quite a big failure point for all of my attempts. You need to get into the swamp water as soon as possible and boot dash. So here, we're walking left, and then at the earliest possible point, we're walking down, and then at the earliest possible point that we hit the swamp water, we're pressing left and holding boots. If you don't do it quick enough, the rest of the time is going to get screwed, and you're not going to enter the cave on the correct RNG. We'll point out the RNG value that you want to have when you enter the cave. But the best things to look out for is making sure that, like, as soon as you hit the water, you've turned and started boot dashing. You don't want to hit the water, be like walking down in the water for a little bit and then boot dashing to left. It's probably going to make it fail. Next thing we do is we brush so that we don't want to hit the corner of this to slow us down like at all, but we don't want to be diagonal dashing too far, so you just aim to not get caught in this corner here. Now at this point, you want to be holding up when Link is roughly like here, somewhere on this stretch of wall. You start holding up so that Link is diagonal dashing up in this direction like this. At some point you need to let go of up briefly during this. I do it just before the wall here, but like really at any point here, you just want to quickly release and repress, and the briefest thing, like only a couple frames are necessary. If we hold up the entire time, we end up sliding up this diagonal thing and then bonking on the bush instead of bonking on this wall directly here. So that's just important to take note of. And then from the moment that we bonk onto this wall, all we do is just hold up until we get to here. Now you want to start looking at a visual cue. You want Link to get pretty close to this these bushes. You don't want to actually make contact with the bush. You just want to be somewhere above the flowers here. But really you can slash kind of anywhere like this position, anywhere that you're going to be hitting the sword slash to hit these top two bushes like this, and you're not going to hit the bush on the right. That's basically what you're looking out for. I try and time it as late as possible, but still not making contact with the bush. Then after you do the, like, when you tap to do the sword slash, I start buffering up left, and like you get used to the timing of it so that you hold up left briefly, so that you start walking left just enough so that you can just hold up and you'll get into the cave and not slow down too much. Like here, I do the slightest brush on this bush here. You want to try and keep that as minimal as possible. But really, all of that is good enough to get into the cave. All of this is pretty tight, but the most important thing is that we enter the cave. We want the RNG value to be 442A718B when we load into the cave like this. If you can get a state of the like if you can do all of that and get the RNG to this value when you load in here and get a save state, that's great, because then you can start practicing this room. This room is the one that you're gonna have to practice quite a lot, and you don't want to have to constantly be redoing entering the cave just to be able to practice this room. So very important to get a save state here. Right, so there are 3 kinstones that we're going to be getting in here, and each one of them can have 3 different kinstone patterns. So we'll go over the first one first. But basically, I got good sparkles on this attempt. I have a bunch of other examples we'll go over and show all of the different ones that you can get. So the first movement that we're going to do is we're going to be holding up, and then we're going to hold the boots, and we want to do 1 boot tap, and then we do 2 slashes. So 1 boot tap, 2 slashes. Grab this pot. When we grab the pot, we hold right. I mean, I walk diagonally a bit there, but that's fine. You walk right, and then you face up, and you throw the pot at this this rope. Now, when you're actually doing an attempt, I should point out, when you enter the cave, you want to be looking at the ropes, but also kind of like it's hard to look at the ropes and then also be ready to do your movement. But if the ropes aren't in this orientation of the left one is moving up and the top one's moving to the right, if they're not in that orientation, the minute failed and just reset and start again. That's if you're in an actual run. But for practice purposes, you're going to be running from that save state. But yeah, get used to like entering this cave and then just being hot on this movement and just like doing the boot tap quickly and the 2 slashes before you touch the pot, and then you can pick up the pot. Yeah, and then so this is the real first point where you know if you've nailed the manip so far, because if a green kenstone drops, then you're good. There's only 1 green kenstone that can drop in this RNG sequence at this point, and it has to be the correct one. So there's no failure point here. If a green kenstone drops, you're exactly on the correct RNG. So once we throw the pot, we just hold up. As soon as we touch the kenstone, we hold B and start mashing directions A and B, whatever is your preferred mashing technique, to close this text box as quickly as possible. As we're watching the kinstone sparkles, the very last kinstones are going to be the ones that we're looking at. So if you see on the left-hand side, there is a sparkle right now. And then there was a second sparkle. Now, this is what we care about looking at. So basically, this sparkle is one that's always going to appear. And then if we're lucky, the second kinstone sparkle is going to appear. Now, if you see the extra sparkle here, that means you only need to do 1 slash in this next section. If you don't see an extra sparkle, you need to do 2 slashes. We kind of prefer only having to do 1 slash because timing like a double sword slash can introduce some failure points, but like it's not too bad if you get either or. Like that's, you just need to pay attention to that. It's not too difficult to look at that and see, oh, make everything add up to 3. You know, you see 1 sparkle, do 2 slashes, add up to 3. You see 2 sparkles, do 1 slash, adds up to 3. Pretty simple stuff. So what we do is after we get the kinstone, we hold down left, and then as we get like roughly, we want to be below this pot. I slashed a little bit early here, but it's not too bad. We do 1 slash because of the sparkle told us to do so. We pick up this pot, and then when you pick up this pot, you want to round this corner as quickly as possible and then throw the pot and at the rope. Hopefully the rope points to face you like this, and if you don't time your throw badly, you'll hit the rope and it'll drop a kinstone, and then we just keep holding left. Again, you pick up, like, we just hold left to pick up the kinstone, hold B and start mashing through text to close this text box as quickly as possible. Now, the second part, sparkles that we're looking for is here. So this kinstone is going to have a big one at the very top. And ideally, that's all we get. If there's another kinstone, if there's another sparkle that drops, that appears, then things are going to get really tricky, because at this point we're going to be doing 5 boot dusts. So the way that I show it here is I do 1, 2. I hold the boots just long enough to do 2 boot puffs. And then I press and hold the boots again to do 1, 2, 3. Once you start moving, all of these extra boot puffs don't matter, so don't worry about it. If you need to time 3 boot puffs, you can just press and hold and just do a full dash and then release anytime you've started moving. RNG only advances those 3 bits of puff that appear when you start charging the boots, so that's all we needed to worry about. So we had 2 in the first time we charged the boots, 3 in the second time. That's 5 in total. That's what we cared about. Now, if we get a bad kinstone sparkle here, and we get an extra kinstone, which an extra sparkle, which I'll show in one of the other things. Actually, can I just show that now? Nope, it's not that one. Here. There we go. So this is the bad thing that we're looking out for. So like good as if it's only one at the top, but then it becomes bad when there's one extra. When it's one extra, it's literally advanced RNG one extra time. So instead of doing 5 boot dashes, we need to do 4 boot dashes and then 3 sword slashes, because a boot tap is equivalent to 4 sword slashes. So we'll show the little demonstration of what you're supposed to be doing here. There you go. So we'll go back to what it looked like in the good position. Enter the cave and run it back through up to that point. Yeah, and then really you're not, and everything up to this point is under a tight time pressure. But once you're at this point, there is no precise timing that you need to do until you leave the cave. So as long as you get that second kinstone, you should be solid, and you spot the kinstone and you spot the sparkle pattern, you're guaranteed to get the third kinstone. Yeah, so what I'm kind of figuring out, like this is an optional thing that I'm doing here. I'm grabbing this top right pot to get a bomb drop. I'm figuring it's best to get a bomb drop from this position, and it saves having to get one slightly later in Fortress of Winds. It's ever so slightly faster, like it barely makes a difference. I'm just deciding to do it here. I think it's going to be better to do it, but like you don't have to do it here. You can still get the one later in Fortress, but I'm just throwing this in here because I want to start practicing it this way around. But yeah, so you pick up and throw that bomb drop, and then you can yeah, all you need to do is grab and throw this pot, and then we to spawn the last kinstone. Now, the last kinstone. Again, we're looking at the very last sparkle patterns on it. This is what we're looking for. So it's going to do a bunch of sparkles at the top, and when we know it's if it's a good pattern, because there'll be one on the very far right. If this one appears like that, we're on exactly the correct RNG to leave the cave immediately. So you just need to hold down and walk out of the cave. The other pattern that it can be is if that doesn't appear. And it will just be these sparkles at the top, and then the one on the right won't appear, and it will just look like this. All you need to do is one extra RNG call, which is really easy. You just do a roll or do a sword slash, whichever you think is fastest at that time. And then, yeah, leave the cave. And that should cover all of the different sparkle patterns that you will see in the cave. So all of these were the good ones. I'll show some of the bad ones right now. So here, wait, no, sorry, that's good. This is the bad one. And then that was good. Right, and then I've got this one as well, which is slightly different. So that was kind of the bad one where like you saw like here there was only one, so we need to do a double slash there. And then that was good, but I kind of like hesitated weirdly like that. And then that's bad, so need to do an extra sword slash before leaving the cave. Like, I hope they're all pretty visible. With some practice, you'll get used to what they all are supposed to look like. So, now for the final section, the actual p-hat manip. So like the whole point of all of this is that we're not having to do another save and quit to get the p-hat into the right position. We can manipulate from this point to getting the p-hat up into the upper position so that we can do the p-hat clip, hopefully saving us a decent amount of time. It should be saving like 12 seconds or so from having to do a save and quit. So here, what we do is when we're leaving the cave, we hold left and we try and sword slash immediately. And then we walk left until we're in front of the vine and then we hold it up. So this is a new movement that I came up with that I found is a little bit faster than what was shown in Black. So this is just like an alternate version that I come up with. I find it just as consistent. But yeah, as soon as you get to the top of the vine, you just do a roll. You don't want to roll like frame perfectly, basically. You don't want to roll absolutely instantly. Just the smallest little delay in walking up and then rolling helps a little bit here, because at the end of the roll we're going to hold right and then start doing a boot dash. If you're not high enough, when you start doing the boot dash and are holding up whilst charging the boots, you can bonk on this wall here. So if you're doing the movement and you're bonking this wall, just make sure that when you get to the top of this vine, you don't roll instantly, but like roll like a split second later. Not even a split second. It's like literally on the order of a couple frames. But yeah, we do a boot dash, we hold it up, and then we let go of up as soon as we hit this bridge, and just only hold boots, and we should just neutral diagonal slide up through here. We get to the very top of this bridge, we start holding up again, and then we let go of boots before we bonk on this these pegs here. And ideally, the p-hat should be moving diagonally up left in this pattern like so. We equip our Gust Jar and Shield, and like I walk into the corner and I make sure I'm like fully in this corner here before I start activating the Gust Jar, and that just gives the p-hat just enough time to start moving up like so. When you're in this position and if you start activating the Gust Jar early, it will make the p-hat turn down, and then he's not you're not going to be able to grab him. Because like from this point he'll start moving down instead of up. Yeah. So you grab him, you can start pause buffering when he's roughly in this position, and yeah, we get him up to the top. It's really nice when we get these p-hat manips that bring the p-hat in nice and low from this position, because ideally he gets like stuck on the or this pillar kind of like keeps him further to the left than fully against the right wall, and also the lower they are, the faster we can get them into the spot on the bottom left hand corner of this section. The higher up they are, you know, it's extra movement having to push them down, so having manips that bring them towards the bottom can be nice. But then can be a little bit tricky. So, you know, this is definitely certainly a tricky minute. And then we just do our standard ordeal of pushing this guy over to here. I'm not going to demonstrate it. Like it's pretty standard for anyone running at this point. Just do your regular p-hat clip. But yeah, that's the whole thing. So yeah, I mean, this is just early days. We might have some more optimizations or whatever, but this is what I found from what I've been working on so far. Anyway, Hope everyone enjoys that. Good luck practicing that. See you later.